prosecuted multiple BMPs, BTRs, earlier on the plate. And then we've also prosecuted a convoy of BTRs with dealer 55. Block 10 to 12.
Today we're going to discuss the military prowess of ISIS, the Islamic State. In a short period of time, they have conquered large swaths of Iraq and Syria, captured major cities, a lot of modern military hardware, and held their own against the armies of Syria and Iraq, as well as the Kurdish Peshmerga. You could even say they have degraded and destroyed these units in combat. What's driving their success? Are they really a military juggernaut, or are they up against the JV of the region? We've spent almost a decade and billions of dollars training and equipping the Iraqi army, yet they remain more potent as blocks on an org chart than an actual fighting force. They're considerably larger than ISIS with 250,000 troops, but consistently lose battles to a much smaller, although blooded and motivated ISIS force. Next door in Assad's Syria, the government troops are more concerned with defending their capital against a Syrian insurrection than fighting ISIS out in the hinterlands, which they've more or less ceded to them. And when they have gone out and taken them on, it hasn't gone particularly well for them. The only group that's had much real success has been the Kurdish Peshmerga, and they still need a lot of help from us in the way of airstrikes, equipment, and munitions, and their bottom line is less conquering ISIS and more propagating a free Kurdistan. So how is ISIS winning these battles? Bill Ardolino of the Long War Journal pointed out that they've made very effective use of captured mortars and artillery to get everyone's heads down in advance of an attack. Then they use suicide bombers to breach fixed defenses and can march wave upon wave of demented Avengers into the breach in search of their Islamist dreams. This has been a very effective tactic ever since gunpowder was invented, especially if you don't care about dead civilians, and for ISIS, that saves them the trouble of slaughtering them later. And shock troops high on religious fanaticism will prevail over conscripts forced into battle by a government they don't believe in almost every time. ISIS is not a well-trained modern military, but thus far they seem to be more motivated and dedicated than the actual armies they've gone up against. This also points out the fantasy of getting so-called Syrian moderates to do the fighting for us and defeat ISIS. If the Iraqi army we have spent billions of dollars and a decade on is getting whipped, what makes anyone believe that this magicked up militia is going to be able to get the job done? ISIS can be defeated, no question, but that's going to take a real army, and these days there aren't a whole lot of contenders for that mission. What happens after that is another question entirely, but we'll never find that out unless we do what needs to be done to put down this pack of rabid dogs.
We prosecuted multiple BMPs, BTRs,